seated, trying to sit up a little bit taller, easing the compression from the belly so that you can get into that nice relaxed belly breath. If you're laying down, using the mat to help you set yourself in a relaxed position, allowing the arms to come down the side, turning the palms to face up, relaxing the shoulders, resting the head, little pillow below the head to bring the head up if you need to do so. The lower back is soft, the hips are relaxed, the legs can be bent or straight, whichever feels more comfortable for your hips and your lower back. And then once that you're settled into the position, just running a quick scan over the body. So feel the pressure and how the pressure is distributed along the body. So if I'm on the back, trying to compare the pressure between the right and the left side of the body, trying to compare the position of my right and my left arm, and my right and my left leg, the position of the head. If I'm seated, think of comparing the pressure between your seat bones. And then again, the overall position of the body. I might find that one shoulder is slightly forward, the head is slightly to the side, is slightly turned. I'm not changing anything. I'm just trying to feel where everything is, and especially how I feel to begin with. So I've got something to compare it with when I finish the class, when I finish the practice. And then I'm just going to start focusing on the breath. See if we can get into that nicer belly breathing. I'm going to place one hand on the belly, one hand on the chest, and then see if you can think on the inhalation, making sure that the hand on the chest is still, the hand on the belly is moving. So I want the hand on the belly to be pushed forward, pushed out as I inhale, and then to come back in as I exhale. Not because I'm consciously trying to push the belly or pull the belly, but because I'm letting the breath do that. So I want the hand on the chest to be perfectly still, so there is no movement up here. All the movement is down here into the belly. So that nice, calm, relaxing belly breath, diaphragmatic breath that is going to allow the body to drop down into that rest and digest state. So I'm going to try to get a few more breaths there. And then as I start feeling a little bit calmer, a little bit more settled, I'm going to let the arms relax back by the side. And then I'm just going to focus on the shoulder girdle. See if I can try and unglue the shoulder girdle, the scapula, the shoulder blade from the back of the ribcage. I'm going to start sliding it up and down. I'm going to shrug the shoulders up to the head, and then I'm going to slide them away. I'm going to pull them up to the head and then slide them away. So see if I can feel the shoulder blade gliding along the back of the ribcage. Noticing if there is a difference between the right and the left, the side. I might find that one side it moves better. One side it feels a bit stickier. I can feel the neck tensing as I shrug the shoulders up to the head. And then I can feel the neck stretching and lengthening as I press them down and away from the head. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, relaxing the shoulders, adjusting the shoulders. From elevation, depression, I'm going to go into protraction, retraction. So this time I'm going to pull the shoulders forward. So if I'm lying down, I'm going to pull them up towards the ceiling, and then I'm going to push them down into the mat. I'm going to pull them up and towards the ceiling, and then push them down into the mat. So see if you can picture your shoulder blades traveling towards the middle of the back, and then towards the outside of the ribcage, towards the middle of the back, and then towards the outside of the ribcage. And then maintaining that forward and back movement. So if I'm On the mat, I'll be a little bit more restricted in retraction as the floor is underneath, but I can still get the gliding, I can still get the movement going. And then again, noticing the difference between the right and the left side. I feel that the left feels really loose, really relaxed, so the right feels somehow different, maybe a bit stiffer, a bit stickier, a bit tighter to move. 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, easing the shoulders back to the middle, and then I'm just going to start rolling the shoulders around. So think of a circular movement. So I'm going to bring the shoulders up to the head, I'm going to push them back, drop them down, pull them forward towards the head, back, down, forward, towards the head, back, down, forward. So nice, easy circles. So see if I can try and get as much movement as possible into the shoulder girdle. There will be noises, there will be scrunching noises, there will be clicking noises. As far as there is no pain with the clicking, I'm going to keep it going nice and big. If there is pain, if there is discomfort, then I'm just going to ease off on the size of the movement, but I'm still trying to encourage some. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing back, adjusting the shoulders, relaxing the neck. So a little bit more movement into the shoulder girdle. I'm going to start bringing in the shoulder joint as well. I'm going to start off with a single arm raise. I'm going to raise the right arm up to the front. I'm going to take it as far up, as far back as I feel comfortable. And then I'm going to return the arm back down. With the left, I'm going to do the same and then come back. Now, if you're lying down, the movement feels a little bit lighter, a little bit easier as you're lifting against the with gravity, so there is no change. It feels quite easy to move the arm. Just make sure that you're not compensating with your chest. The chest is not suddenly lifting up, so I'm not arching my way up, I'm not tensing, I'm not pulling through the shoulders or through the neck. It feels smooth on the right, it feels smooth on the left. If you're seated, then the arm is lifting against gravity, so the perception is that the arm is heavier to lift. So I'm just going to lift it as high as I feel that the arm is still relaxed, so the movement doesn't require much of an effort. So I can move it easily. It's not pinching, it's not catching. The head is free to move from side to side, so the neck is not gripping, it's not tightening. It feels relaxed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing down, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, just a little bit more movement into the shoulder. From a front raise, I'm going to do a lateral raise. So this time I'm going to swing the arm to the side. So I'm going to scoop the right or the left arm out to the side, bringing it towards the head, and then in reverse, I'm going to swing it back towards the hips. With the left, I'm going to do the same, swing it around towards the head, and then in reverse, back down and towards the hips, and then to the other side. So why the movement at this time? If I feel that, again, the arm is too heavy, especially if I'm sitting up, I'm just going to make the swing just a little bit shallower, so I can still move with ease. I don't need to tense the neck, I don't need to strain my shoulders or my upper body. It feels relaxed. If I'm lying down, I might just decide to keep the arm a little bit further away from the floor as it swings to the side, making sure that it's not catching on the shoulder, so it's not creating pain in the shoulder as it's opening to the side. 6. Still breathing. See if I can get the movement to coordinate with my breath. 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing down, relaxing the shoulders, the same as I did for the shoulder girdle. I'm now going to mix the movements, so I'm just going to go into a little kind of a circle. I'm going to start with the right arm. I'm going to repeat on the right side. I'm going to raise the right arm up to the front. I'm going to take it back or take it up as high as I can. I'm going to swing it around the side and bring it back in towards the hips, and then I'm going to go again up to the ceiling, reach behind, round the side, and then come back. If I'm seated, it'll be the same. Opening, lifting at the front, and then taking the arm to the side to come back. So nice a circular movement. Again, making sure that the change in direction doesn't make the arm clonk, it doesn't make the shoulder grind or click. And then I'm going to reverse the circle. So I'm going to scoop the arm round the side first, bring it towards the head, forward, and then down and round again. So smooth the movement. The neck still feels relaxed. If I feel that I need a little bit of a rest, I'm going to get the rest and then joining in again when I'm ready to do so. 3, 2, 1, and releasing, relaxing the shoulder. I'm going to try the same thing to the left side. So I'm going to start raising the arm up to the front, as far up, as far back as I can, scooping it round the side, back to the hips, and then again, up to the front, round the side, back to the hips, and then again. So same as I did on the right side. As I'm working with one arm at a time, I can decide how big or small the movement is going to be. So I can go into a very small circular movement. I can go into a very big one, just making sure that the movement is not causing pain in the shoulder or stiffness or tension into the neck. 3, 2, last one. Reversing the circle, scooping around the side, bringing it down the front, round the side, and then back to the front. So again, adjusting the range of movement. There might be some clicking in the shoulder. As far as there is no pain with the clicking, it's okay. If I feel pain with the clicking, then I'm just going to ease off on the size of the movement and then making sure that the pain is gone. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And releasing back, relaxing the shoulders. So there's a little bit more movement through the shoulder girdle and the shoulder joint. I'm going to start mobilizing a little bit more into the upper back, into the thoracic spine. I'm going to start off with a little extension first. So I'm going to allow the arms to relax by the side. And then think of the retraction that you practiced before. This time I don't want the shoulder blades to move on the right. I want the shoulder blades to draw back and my chest to push forward. So I'm going to try and extend into the upper back. Then I'm going to release and then try it again. I'm going to retract the shoulders and then pushing the chest forward, release and back. So see if I can get some movement into the upper back, and see if I can get that extension into the upper back. So if I'm seated, I've got a little bit more space. I can use the space to really open up and lift at the front. If I'm laying down, it's a little bit more restricted as the floor behind me is going to get a little bit in the way, but I can still get that extension going. I can still try to get the back of the rib cage to lift away from the mat. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing back, adjusting the shoulders, adjusting back, and then I'm going to focus on flexion. So exactly the opposite to what I've done now. Instead of trying to raise the chest to the ceiling and try to lift, to try to extend the upper back, this time I'm going to try and bring the chest almost as if I was trying to push the breastbone into the inside of the rib cage, and then try to round the upper back as much as I can. So if you're lying down, reaching the hands up to the back of the head to offer support to the head, I'm going to take a deep breath in, and then as I breathe out, I'm going to flex, I'm going to curl forward. So it's a little bit of abdominal contraction as well. I'm going to ease my way back, and then again, I'm going to curl my way forward, and then ease back down again. So if I'm laying down, the extension automatically goes into the thoracic spine, so I don't really have to overthink it. If I'm seated, it's very tempting to start flexing from the lumbar spine, so from further down. So if you can keep the lumbar spine reasonably still, and then trying to get the movement just into the upper back. So I'm trying to round the upper back as much as I can, and then release. Round it as much as I can, and release. Bring the chin down towards the chest, and then climbing back up again. 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, relaxing the shoulders, releasing the back. So it's a little bit more movement front to back. I'm going to try and create a little bit movement side to side. First, we're working in lateral flexion. So I'm going to allow the arms to come down the side. If I'm seated, I'm just going to reach down one side, come back to center, and then reach down the other way. If I'm lying down, I'm going to use one hand to support the head so that I can take the head with me as I reach down the side. The neck is not straining. So I'm going to pull down the right, come back to center, swap, and then pull down the left. Come back to center, swap, pull down the right, back to center, swap, pull down the left. So from side to side, feeling a nice gentle tension working into the side of the belly, the obliques working to pull the rib cage, to pull the body into that lateral flexion, into that reach side to side. 4, 3, 2, last time. And releasing back, easing the head back down. If the head was off the mat, adjusting the rib cage, relaxing through the shoulders. And then from lateral flexion, I'm going to be moving into rotation. So reaching the arms to the front, clasping the hands together or keeping the hands apart. I'm going to start swinging the arms from one side to the other. So I'm going to roll onto the right shoulder, swing to the right, come back, and then roll onto the left, the shoulders swing to the left. The hips are keeping still. It's just the upper body that is kind of like rocking gently from side to side, trying to ease off more of the tension from the upper back and the back of the rib cage with that gentle rocking. Keeping the head fixed in the middle or following the arms as they go side to side. Just making sure that the movement is not making me feeling queasy. It's not making me feel dizzy. If I'm seated, exactly the same. I might just keep the arms a little bit lower so that the shoulders and the neck don't start tensing, don't start stiffening up as I'm moving from one to the other side. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, relaxing the shoulders, releasing the back. It's a little bit more movement. What I want to start combining the back movement with the shoulder, with the arm. So if you're lying down, I want you to roll over onto the side and then setting yourself up for opening and closing doors. So I'm going to pull the bottom arm right forward, so I'm resting on the back of that shoulder. The head can rest onto the mat. If I find that is a bit too far, so it's really pulling on the neck, then I'm just going to use something to support it. I can use the cushion, I can use a roll the jumper, just anything to bring the head at a comfortable level. I'm going to set the knees in front of the hips, so the shins nice and level to the front of the mat, and then I'm going to start opening up. So I'm going to swing the top arm up, I'm going to turn the rib cage to the side, and then I'm going to spread the arms out nice and wide to see if I can get a nice stretch across the front of the shoulder. Then I'm going to ease back to center, and then I'm going to try again. So I'm going to turn, rotating into the back, opening up through the arm, a nice stretch across the front of the chest, and then I'm going to ease back, making sure that the knees are staying together and they're staying on the floor. Again, with the head, I can follow the arm, or I can keep the head fixed in the middle. Is whatever feels better for your neck, whatever feels more comfortable for the body. If you're seated, exactly the same. I'm going to repeat on the same side. So I'm going to swing the arm around the side. I'm going to turn the rib cage. I'm going to open up to the back as far as I can reach, and then swing back to the front again. Then again, I'm going to turn, open up as far as I can reach, and then come back. So keeping that rotation going. Again, see if I can get that nice opening across the front of the shoulder, front of the chest, to play with the position of the hand, the position of the arm, making sure that the shoulder doesn't feel as if it's popping up. The shoulder is down, the neck feels loose, it feels relaxed. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing back, relaxing the shoulders, giving the back and the arm a little bit of a rest. I'm going to stay on the same side, and then same as I've been doing so far, I'm just going to mix the direction of the movement. So instead of just opening to the back, I'm going to circle to the back. So I'm going to do a little bit of a chalk circles. So imagine to be holding a piece of chalk in your hand. I'm going to start to bring the arm forward at the front towards the head, and then I'm going to try and draw a circle on the floor all the way around the body and then back. Then I'm going to reverse the circle. I'm going to try and draw the circle around the other way and then come back. So it could be a little circle, it could be a big circle. It's whatever the shoulder and the back will allow you to do, again, without causing any pain. So think of holding that pen on the mat, on the floor, and then see if I can draw that circle all the way through. If I find that the shoulder is maybe a little bit too stiff, maybe a little bit too sore, then I'm just going to draw the circle as far as I feel comfortable, and then I'm going to come straight back. Draw the circle as far as I feel comfortable, and then come straight back. 6, 7, 8, checking that the knees are still holding together, they're still on the floor. 9, 'Last one. And releasing back, giving the shoulder a little bit of a roll, relaxing the shoulder, relaxing the arm. And then I'm going to try exactly the same thing on the other side. So switching yourself around or turning to face the other way. I'm going to start off first with the opening and closing doors. It's the same as I did before. So I'm going to reset to the same position. The bottom arm, I'm going to pull it straight forward, so I'm not crushing the shoulder. I'm not compressing the joint. And then top arm, I'm going to bring it up to the ceiling, turn the rib cage. I'm going to spread the arms nice and wide, see if I can get that nice stretch across the front of the chest. And then I'm going to return back to the front. So that nice opening, turning the rib cage to follow the arm. If I'm seated, exactly the same as I did on the other side. So I'm going to turn, open to the back as far as I can, and then come back to the front. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 'Last one. And releasing back, giving the shoulder a little bit of a roll. And then once you feel that the shoulder has recovered, I'm going to get into the chalk circles. It's the same as before. Imagine that chalk, that pen on your hand. I'm going to start swinging it towards the head. I'm going to circle around to the back. And then I'm going to draw that circle back in reverse. So I'm going to try and draw that circle going back, and then reverse in the circle coming back to the front. So same as you did on the other side. It doesn't matter if the circle is big or small, just to see if you can make sure that the movement is not causing pain in the shoulder. So I'm not forcing it. I'm trying to keep it as loose, as relaxed as I can. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And releasing back, giving the shoulder a little bit of a roll. And then when you're ready, if you're on the mat, rolling over onto the back. So it's a little bit more movement into the upper back and into the shoulder girdle. I'm going to start focusing down into the lower back. I'm going to start off with a little pelvic tilt. So I'm going to tilt the pelvis back. Think of it pressing the lower back down into the mat and then curling the tailbone up and away from the mat. Then I'm going to rock back into neutral and then I'm going to tilt my way back again. So see if I can create that nice and easy, gentle rocking, mobilizing the lower back, trying to relax the lower back, relax the back of the pelvis, relaxing the hips, feeling the belly tense to create that little tilt. See if I can keep the legs as relaxed as I can. If you're seated, think of the opposite that you did when you were extending through the upper back and flexing through the upper back. And this time I want the upper back to hold the still and the lower back to move. So see if I can create that little tilt and then come back, tilt, and then come back, working from the bottom of the spine. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and releasing back. Releasing the back, there's a little bit more movement down into the lumbar. From flexion, extension, I'm going to go into a little bit of a lateral flexion. So I'm going to get into a little hip hitch. So I'm going to try and pull the right hip up towards the right side of the rib cage, hitching the right hip up, and then pulling the left towards the left. So if I'm seated, imagine to be lifting one seat bone down, pop it back, the other, and then pop it back down again. Just a little bit more tension into the side of the belly. If I'm lying down, think of the back of the pelvis keeping nice and flat against the mat. And then as I hitch the hip up, I can feel the pelvis kind of like shifting slightly from side to side. This is like a little pendulum swinging from one over to the other side. So nice and easy, nice and loose. See if I can get rid of some of the stiffness and some of the tension from the lower back. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing back, resetting the hips back in the middle. Just a little bit more movement into the lower back. I'm going to start getting the hips of the legs involved. I'm going to start off with a little up and down. So as usual, if I know that the leg is a little bit temperamental, so it doesn't move when I tell it to move, then I'm just going to use the band around the back of the leg, the strap, the belt around the back of the leg to help me guide that leg, to help me move the leg. If I don't need the strap, then I'm just going to keep the arms relaxed. And then what I want is for the right hip joint to flex. So I want my right hip joint to close so that the leg is going to pull away from the mat. Then I'm going to release back and then I'm going to pull up again. So it doesn't need to be a massive lift. There might actually be no lift. To see if I can kind of like get a little bit of up and down, almost like a little massage into the hip joint, right into the socket. So especially if I'm seated, It doesn't matter if I can't quite lift the foot off the floor. I'll see if I can get that little movement deep into that right hip. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, and relax. Relaxing the hip, releasing the leg. Same thing with the left side. So I'm going to switch the band around the back of the leg, use the hands if I'm seated, as I can easily reach onto the leg, and then see if I can get the little up and down going onto that left hip, onto that left side. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and relax. Relaxing the hip, releasing the leg, and then from an up and down, I'm going to go into a little knee drop, into a little side to side. So this time, I'm going to keep the feet down onto the floor. I want the right knee to start opening to the right, and then close back to the center. The left knee to open to the left, and then close back to center. So this time, instead of closing the hip, think of a little sets of pulleys that is pulling your leg to the side, and then drawing the leg back to the center. Then pulling the leg to the other side, and then drawing it back to the center. So think of this imaginary thread going from one side to the other to encourage movement into the right hip, to encourage movement into that left hip. And then, as usual, if I feel that the leg doesn't really want to go there or doesn't know how to go there, I'm just going to guide it. So I might push it out, I might pull it back in. So wherever I feel that I need the help of the hand, I'm going to use the hand and the arm to guide. If you're on your back, making sure that as the leg opens out, the hips are not going with the leg. So I'm not turning, I'm not letting the weight of the leg pull on my pelvis, pull on my back. And then coming back, and then opening the other way. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and releasing back, relaxing the hips and releasing the legs. And then to finish off, I'm going to, again, put the directions together. So same as I did for the arms, the same as I did for the back. I'm going to see if I can get into circles. So I'm going to place the strap around the right leg if I feel that I need a support, and then I'm going to start circling that thigh around. So imagine the knee, a pencil strapped to the tip of your knee. I'm going to start drawing circles in front of me. So if I'm seated, it'll be on the wall in front. If I'm laying down, it will be on the ceiling in front of me. So keeping the circle small, making it big. See if I can avoid clicking, clunking in the hip. Adjusting the position of the leg. Trying to create a nice, smooth movement. Reversing the circle, going the other way. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing back. Relaxing the hip, we're releasing the leg. I'm going to switch on the left side, so switching the band around the other leg if I feel that I need the band, and then I'm just going to start circling around. So drawing the circles on the wall in front or on the ceiling above. See if I can just loosen up into this side, into this hip. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Reversing the circle, going the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And releasing back, relaxing the hip, releasing the leg. When you're ready, if you're on your back, rolling over onto your side, and then slowly pushing yourself up into sitting. Finding a comfortable seated position. And making sure that the legs are where I feel that I can sit up reasonably upright, reasonably straight, leaning onto something if I feel that I need that support. Using the arms to support if I need to. And then when you're ready, think of the front of the body, trying to open up the front of the body, see if I can try and lengthen it as much as I can. So I'm going to take a deep breath in. I'm going to start pushing the chest forward, lifting it up, lengthening through the belly, opening through the rib cage. I'm going to look forward, look up, lengthen down the front of the throat all the way up to the chin. And then I'm just going to ease down, tucking the chin to the chest, surrounding the shoulders, rolling forward as far as I feel comfortable going. And then back in reverse, extending up, lifting up as high as you can, shoulders back, the chest goes up, tipping the head back. And then I'm going to release, coming forward, flexing as much as I can. Last time, extending up, going up as high as you can, create as much space as possible. And then releasing back to the front. One hand to the belly, one hand to the back. Take a bow,